ይሰማል? ኦኬ የሚገባውን ደብዳቤ እናነባለን። አሁን እየተጠበቁን ያሉት የምንሄድባቸው ሁለት ቦታዎች ስላሉ ለዛ ፈጠን ብለን ለመስራት ያህል እነሱ እስከሚያስገቡ ድረስ አሁን እየገባን ደብዳቤ አነባለን። The Parliament of Norway, the Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Oslo, Norway, an appeal to help stop repression and tyranny in Ethiopia. Ethiopians say enough with dictatorship. The tyrannical regime of the vicious ethnic warlord Meles Zenawi has defied domestic and international calls and refused to level a fair playground for opposition groups in the country. The donors, including Norway, is unaware of his abysmally poor democratic credentials or out of their desire to reward a Western-friendly leader, have increased their economic and political support for his regime. This has led to the inflow of possibility, the largest amount of foreign aid and loans in the history of the country. It is deplorable that despite the injection of tremendous Western resources into the coffers of the regime in the form of development aid and budgetary support, famine and poverty have been on the rise. The resources provided by the West have mainly been used to crush opposition party leaders and members, including sympathizers, are systematically forced either to leave the country or imprisoned and killed. International and domestic human rights organizations have adequately documented the terrifying atrocities committed by his regime against the people of Ethiopia. His dictatorial rule has been characterized by ethnic conflicts and polarization he deliberately incites as part of his scheme of divide and rule. The current crisis in Jimma zone, which has erupted recently, is a living example. The oppressed people of the country made use of the small openings available to reject his rule through the ballot box and voted overwhelmingly for the opposition parties in 2005. Detecting election defeat, Meles Zenawi ordered the suspension of vote counting and at the same time declared himself the winner of the election. He also declared a state of emergency in contravention of his own constitution, and he's forbidden all forms of peaceful gatherings and demonstrations in the country, which is still in place. He also placed all his security and special forces under his direct command and passed orders to crack down on the opposition and their supporters. The election monitoring body of the European Union has witnessed and reported massive irregularities and other illegal measures prevalent after the elections both in 2005 and 2010. Unfortunately, donors did nothing against this evil act, but regrettably intensified rewarding the regime with billions of dollars. Mr. Zenawi's regime has now intensified his repression against all suspected members and supporters of the opposition, including those living as a refugee in foreign countries. Restrictive regulations are enacted to forbid any form of protest and freely exercise basic human rights. Employment, education, and access to humanitarian aid provided selectively to the ruling party sympathizers and supporters. Investment and key government and non-government positions are monopolized by cliques of the TPLF regime, especially by those who come from the ethnic minority where Meles Zenawi belongs to. In a country where everything is impossible without being a member or sympathizer of the TPLF regime, thousands of Ethiopians representing all classes, including intellectuals, students, and ordinary workers and others, leave the country every year and seek asylum, mainly in Europe and North America. Unacceptable land grabbing is underway, which reward fertile farmland to foreigners for cheap money, evicting indigenous farmers and pastoralists. As you understand, the time for dictatorial regimes is no more, whereas the tsunami in the northern Africa has shown us. Atrocities by the Zenawi regime have surpassed the limit many years before, and currently Ethiopians say enough is enough, and are ready to pay the sacrifice it may request. The outcome of such an uprising in Ethiopia may be very devastating because of the regime's ethnicity-based divide and rule policy for the last 20 years. However, the uprising is inevitable in the country, and we Ethiopians in diaspora will do all we can and stand beside the Ethiopian people back home. Today, Ethiopians are running worldwide to request Western governments and politicians to understand the volatile situation in Ethiopia and reconsider their relation with the current regime in Ethiopia. We Ethiopians and ethnic Ethiopian Norwegian, as part of this worldwide rally, request Norway to show its solidarity with the Ethiopian people and reconsider the relation with the dictator, ruling the country ruthlessly for the last 20 years. We kindly regard the Ethiopian Common Forum, Oromo Liberation Front OLF, Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Party, Norway Chapter Democracy PRPD, the Ethiopian Asylum Seekers Association in Norway, Democratic Change in Ethiopia Support Organization Norway, copy the Prime Minister of Norway. Okay, I have finished.